So a lot of work came in over the weekend. It usually happens like this. There's either silence or a complete flood of projects to work on. And in order to make sure that it all is going to end well, because I do have 4 songs mastering, 3 songs mixing mastering, 1 song just mixing, and 2 songs stem mastering, so I've lost count. So to make sure that it's all going to end up well in the planning, I'm first going to call with my assistants, which we, by the way, always do on Mondays, but it's going to be one of the subjects of this call. And we're going to figure out the scheduling of all these projects and also making sure that it's going to be communicated with the clients and, you know, everything that is involved in that. So you're going to see a lot of audio engineering this week. And I also need to make a few videos this week. So I really need a video editor. I really need one now. Alright, so we made a plan, and it basically means that my time is fully booked for the next 2 weeks, maybe 2.5 weeks. Depends a little bit on how the progression goes. And I'm going to start with the different projects throughout the next 2 weeks. However, what is important for today is to check all the files, of course. I want to make sure that those are all correct. Alright, all those projects look really good. Yeah, actually all of them. There wasn't anything wrong with any of the files that I received, so that's really good. Now I'm going to quickly patch my master chain to basically master the song that I was mixing last week. I'm starting to get satisfied with the mix, but what usually happens with me is that the last percentages of the mix are actually done during the mastering. So when I'm dialing in the mastering chain, I notice a few things that I want to change. I want to have different, that could be better, however you want to call it. So yeah, that's why I'm dialing in the mastering chain right now. Of course, everything is recallable, so I'll probably make a draft of the whole master today and then listen to it in the car and that kind of stuff, and then come back here Wednesday to do the rest of the stuff. I'm going to keep the mastering chain for this one simple, for at least now. It's just going to be of course some plugins, but on the analog domain it's going to be the Empress and the Wes Audio. And the Wes Audio, of course, because it's recallable and because you have some very nice coloring here. Oh, the coloring on that thing is so nice. And I indeed settled with the Empress and Wes Audio DIYRE Buscomp combination. Actually did just a few things to the famous pull tech trick, 60 Hz. Bit of 1 kilohertz and a bit of freshness as a shelf filter, of course, on both sides. And over here, I didn't really keep it simple. It looks simple, but it's an MS setup with some saturation, both the THD and the makeup. So yeah, those were the settings. This is for mid and this is for side. And I know that settings don't really say a lot. I mean, I can't show the audio in these videos, so yeah. Today with finally with the building of the bus compressor. One of the things I'm going to need to do is film this from a top-down shot because I want to include a time lapse in there. So I have this stand. Maybe I can just set that stand, I don't know, this or something. That's going to be in the way. I mean, it works. Something like this, yeah. So this is the setup. And it's, sturdy enough. Then it will have a top-down shot. I guess that's the only thing I can do. So the first thing I want to figure out before I'm going to build this thing is basically the order in which you need to build everything. So we've got a lot of bags that are very neat and well labeled with all the stuff in there. Here, bag 1. But because I also have a few modifications included in here, they gave me parts for a few modifications. I also want to know where those modifications are, so that I know when I need to maybe solder a different part in there. And
that is where that shot stopped, because yesterday I was working on the compressor and I was sitting near my window and I heard people screaming for help. And I was like, okay. So I went out to look what happened. And basically somebody locked herself out. It was at a school building. She was doing the maintenance, the watering of the plants. She was still within the gates of the school. So she was locked out and locked in at the same time. And I just went out there to see if I could help. I actually lent my phone to her so she could call a few people. And it basically took a lot of time before somebody came with keys. So that's why that clip suddenly stopped, because I had something else to do. Anyway, if you haven't noticed it already, it's a new day. Going to the studio again.
So it's time to pick up the audio projects again, and I'm actually going to start with a remix from, I don't actually know if I can say which track it is, but it's a dance remix. I actually did a lot of EDM and dance music back in the days. It's actually what I started my whole career with. Later on I moved into the acoustic music, if you can call it like that. It's not necessarily acoustic, but played instruments music. So electronic and played instrument music. And the cool thing about that is that a lot of songs these days are combinations between electronic and acoustic music. So I know very well how to do those things. Anyway, this song isn't. This is really pretty tough dance music. So that's the first thing I'm going to do, just to wake up in the morning. And then I have a lot of other projects to do. Yeah. Ooh, yeah. Alright, that track is now pretty far into the processing. One of the things that I've noticed is that there are some lower quality samples in there. Whenever I try to saturate things on the master chain with either the tube boost or the THD and transformer on the US Audio, it's really sounding off and not good. So I'm not gonna do that. But I'm leaving this project and I'll get back to this on Friday or something when my ears are fresh again. Speaking of fresh ears, I'm going to now probably finish the mix that I've been working on the last 2 weeks, 1.5 weeks. And the interesting part of this mix that I now need to finish is that it's a very open and calming song, and in the end it's a very busy and big song, and that's difficult. That's really difficult to get right. So yeah. And that song is done actually, or 95% done. It's now in the ripening phase where I'm leaving it for what it is. I'll listen to it on Friday again, maybe tweak a few things. I'll listen to it probably on Monday again, tweak a few things, maybe not. And then send it out to the client to see what they think. That project is done. The week in which I'm recording this vlog is also the week that the Linus Tech Tips controversy has started, basically. Now, I've been thinking about the situation and definitely like reflecting on my business. Like, am I doing the right things and stuff? And I think it's very healthy to do that. On the other hand, you can also completely lose yourself in it and get completely mentally exhausted by it. But one of the things that I'm doing is I start to give more and more direct feedback to companies. So if I think that something isn't done right, I'm opening up the conversation. I'm giving them a chance to reply to it. The most recent one was the threshold in the SSL bin. And they explained it to me why it was like that, and I was like, okay, they did this on purpose. The gaining, like it increases gaining. And I was like, okay, it is something I need to include in my review. Because I think people need to be aware of it. But there is a reason why it is that way, and it's not a mistake or a bug or whatever. And these things happen a lot in the background, and I never make them public. And for me, how I weigh these things out against each other, like if something is already publicly available, if people are already spending money on it, I allow myself to be tougher on them. So I can be public about it and I can, put something in a video. While on the other hand, if a product isn't released yet, I'm getting a lot of early access things and plugins and stuff, and I see that something is wrong or whatever in a plugin, I'm a bit more eased down as long as the final version is okay. That happens a lot, that I'm creating feedback for that, and that's never in a video. Which is cool for the opposite party, but in the end I'm the loser because I'm giving that feedback for free. I don't have any content about it, and in the end It's good for the audio industry. It's good for the manufacturer. It's good for the audience, but not for me. Because the only thing that would be good for me is if I would create a drama around it and talk about it, and or make a video and telling like, hey, look how awesome I am. I fixed something in the plugin. That also doesn't feel right. Reflecting on that and going back to the Linus Tech Tips and Gamers Nexus situation, I fully understand why Gamers Nexus called out Linus in public, because it creates a lot of views. I don't know what has happened behind the scenes. Maybe they have been in contact. Maybe Linus just didn't listen. Maybe this was the thing that needed to happen. But on the other hand, I think this could have also been solved in private. Because what I see is that if I create feedback towards these companies, they take it very serious because I have leverage. They don't want to be called out. I think Linus Tech Tips also wouldn't have liked to be called out. I mean, it's good that it's happening right now, and it's good that that company is now, trying to improve. I think being called out always helps a company to improve. I've had my fair share of these dramas and stuff, and I do dare to say that I've learned from them and I came out better, and I'm pretty sure that this is going to happen in the future. The way that YouTubers and reviewers are being held accountable is very good. I think it's one of the jobs in the world where they're expecting the highest accountability and transparency and stuff. So that's really good. But where I want to go with this is that, at least for me, the things that I'm doing are not always visible. I am completely fine with that, actually, because I do think that my goal here as a human being on this earth is, and this is going to sound very spiritual and very weird to a lot of capitalist minded viewers. My goal is, of course, I need to make money, I need to eat, I need to finance this whole stuff. But my bigger feeling of fulfillment and self-worth and stuff is when I can move the audio industry forward, when I can improve products, the community, whatever. I still haven't figured out everything on how to do those things, but I have a really good feeling in what I've been doing lately with sending direct feedback to companies, telling them, hey, I think this is weird in a product, or can you explain this? Because there's always a story at the other end why they made certain choices. Good example about this, by the way, is the oversampling in the Music Hack plugin. The whole oversampling video that I made actually started with me asking like, hey, what is going on here? I don't understand it. And then they were like, yes, but, and gave me the whole story. I saw an opportunity there to move the audio industry forwards by making a long video about oversampling and most of the filters. So this might seem a little bit self-centered and like, hey, look at me, how awesome I am. But I just wanted to say this because I think I've never really told that I'm doing this. And maybe the question that I want to ask to the community is like, would you like to see more of that? Of the things that I'm trying to change in the background or not? Because if I'm not showing it, it is possible that I can do more. Because in the end, it's all about leverage and about very complex systems, actually. Like if companies know that things are going to be public in a weird way, they can also respond offensive and basically block the improvement of the industry instead of that getting into a fight and weird things happen and stuff. While that all is not needed. So yeah, leave a comment down below with what you think. And if you have any tips, also let me know, because I think that there's a lot of stuff in audio that can be improved, and I'm not just talking about technical things. Anyway, speaking about that, I'm going to finish my why mixing engineers do more mastering video. And those edits are done. I actually have good news because I am currently talking with a video editor. The issue with most video editors is that if you look at the freelance market for video editors, you either have documentary or news style video editors. They make news videos, they make business videos, company videos, documentaries or whatever. It's one side of the business. The other side of the business is very filmic, very movie type video editor. And YouTube is somewhere in between those two and has a few very special specifications. And I've actually been looking at a few video editors and talking with them, and most of them didn't really have a lot of experience with YouTube. And I now found one, and I saw a few edits, And it was pretty impressive. So I'm in contact now. I'm trying to figure out the technical details around that, which still is a lot of stuff. And then I'm going to have this person make an edit. So I'm going to give some of my video files and then just see what shows up. So yeah, that's a bit of the update. Apart from that, I'm now just going to mix a little bit, and I'll see you all later.